Hi there, and welcome to our Wheel and Anchor webinar on our trip to Malta at the crossroads of the Mediterranean. This little island has the perfect blend of history, nature, culture that you can discover in just 1 week. What you'll find here are some of the oldest freestanding temples like Hagartim, which dates back to 3600 BC, as well as the incredible Baroque marvels of the city of Valletta, including St. John's Co-Cathedral with its masterpieces from the Italian artist Caravaggio. And you'll also have a chance to visit the Hypogeum, which is a haunting prehistoric burial site. The landscapes as well will truly dazzle with the turquoise waters that you'll find all around the island, but in particular at the Blue Lagoon, also at the Dingley Cliffs, and over on the sister island of Gozo, there is the red sand bay of Ramla. You can also take a swim in the Blue Grotto waters, which are a little chilly when we typically go in our wintertime, around 15 degrees Celsius. But at the same time, the magical feeling of swimming in these blue waters is really incredible. Maltese cuisine is also something in and of itself that is truly worth a visit. In particular, they love to feast on rabbit. They have a dish called fennec, which is like a rabbit stew. They've got these delicious pasticci pastries that you can find out about on our food tour. They have wonderful festivals. This is one of the things that Malta is most known for, like Carnival. They have their village feasts that have fireworks and parades. It's all combined with the amazing reputation of hospitality and safety that Malta is so well known for. There's also some incredible architectural wonders, in particular the medieval city of Medina, the Silent City, as well as the massive Rotunda Dome at Mosta. Our itinerary includes a private yacht charter to some hidden bays of the island, guided explorations to all the highlights, but lots of free time for you to visit some of the fishing villages, as well as those little laneways and alleyways of the city of Valletta. Now, for those of you who have joined our Wheel and Anchor webinars before, you can skip ahead to the day-by-day itinerary and the map overview. But if you are new to Wheel and Anchor, tune in for the next couple of slides where I tell you a little bit about what we're all about. So if you're new to Wheel and Anchor, let me tell you a little bit about who we are, because we're more than just a travel company. We are, in fact, a community of like-minded Canadian explorers who have one thing in common, which is a desire to seek out experiences that go beyond the traditional tourist tracks. Now, there's nothing wrong with visiting the tourist tracks. Everybody at some point in their travel life would like to see places like the Eiffel Tower or the Colosseum at Rome or the Big Ben in London. But we look to create experiences that go beyond the most popular and the busiest touristic highlights, with elements that are a little bit more interesting and lesser known, and also allowing you to have plenty of free time to go out and discover on your own, because that's what I always say is when the magic of travel really happens. Also important to us is the camaraderie that comes from traveling with fellow Canadians and friends who share the same love for adventure, culture, food, wine, exploration. And if you share that sense of connection, if that's important to you, if you'd like to share experiences with like-minded people, then you've definitely come to the right place. We have two particular goals for all of our members at Wheel and Anchor, which is to become both well traveled and well connected. And many of us already are very well traveled. But when we say well traveled, we don't just mean ticking off destinations off a bucket list, which is not to say that there's anything wrong with having a bucket list. Every traveler has a list of places that they'd love to visit in the world. What we mean is that we want you to stay curious, adventurous, and open to shifting your perspective as you explore new places around the world. This means diving into the rich history of Malta that spans literally thousands of years, from prehistoric temples to stunning medieval cities, all while discovering this unique Mediterranean way of life. And being well connected for us is just as important. It's about forging friendships that go beyond the duration of the trip, building a connection, a network of fellow travel enthusiasts who share stories, tips, and dreams for future travel together. Throughout this trip, you'll have plenty of opportunities to connect, not just with your fellow members and travelers, but with also with the local culture, traditions, and the wonderful people of Malta. Before I dive into the details of our Malta program, let me say a few words about the team here at Wheel and Anchor. My name is Gordon Drager. I'm the founder of Wheel and Anchor. I curate all of the trips that we have on offer here, and I've been doing this for 35 years in the meantime, organizing trips for Canadians to all parts of the globe. But of course, I couldn't do all of this alone. I have an incredible team of people who are equally as dedicated and passionate about creating amazing travel experiences. The person who's most important for you, though, is our lead trip specialist, Paula Zarnik. She is the one who the first person that you'll reach out to if you're interested in joining this trip, if you have questions about this or any of our trips here at Wheel and Anchor. So let's dive into the program itself. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to be your virtual guide as I take you on a little journey around Malta to share what you can expect from this trip. We're going to start with a geographical overview. It's always good to know where we're going on the map. And then I'll take you through our day-by-day itinerary. So first of all, where is Malta? Let's have a look at the map. Because a lot of people probably couldn't just pinpoint the location if we were to show them a map of the world. So it's a small island in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, which is just south of Sicily and north of the African country of Tunisia. But despite its small size, it's quite rich in history and cultural and natural beauty. And you can imagine this very strategic geographic location made it an important crossroads for the many people that went through the country. Malta is actually made up of 3 islands. There's Malta itself, Gozo, and Camino, each offering its own unique experiences, whereas Camino hardly has any inhabitants on it. Our trip is going to be based in Valletta, which is the capital of Malta, famous for its grand harbor. We're going to spend 6 nights there, which will encompass excursions that take us not only out to the different parts of Malta, but also over to Gozo and Camino. We're going to be starting in Valletta itself, which is a UNESCO World Heritage City known for its Baroque architecture, its winding streets that go up and down, and again, a very rich history. From there, we're going to be visiting the so-called 3 cities on the other side of the Grand Harbor, Conspicua, Vittoriosa, and Sanglea. These are charming fortified cities that give us a real glimpse into the past, into the history of Malta. Narrow streets, again, historic buildings, beautiful views overlooking the Grand Harbor. Another one of our excursions will take us up to Gozo, which is Malta's sister island. A lot of Maltese will go here for a weekend getaway. It has a peaceful atmosphere, rugged coastlines. It's a perfect opportunity to explore some of the natural beauty that Malta has to offer. And then finally, we're going to explore in Malta some of the oldest and most impressive megalithic structures in the world, including the Hal Safdieni Hypogeum, as well as the Hagarchim Archaeological Park. More about those in a minute. These ancient temples even predate the pyramids of Egypt. A lot of people don't know that. And they offer a fascinating look into the prehistoric past of this country. So we've got everything in store for you. Vibrant cities, serene landscapes, ancient ruins. So let's now get into the day-by-day itinerary. I'm going to give you a few of the highlights of what you can expect to see and do in Malta over the course of the 6 nights that we'll spend there. There is free time built in, so it's important that you not only consider what we've included on this program, but you do a little bit of your own research to figure out what would be important for you to experience. So we begin with our arrival into Malta. Of course, the first question is, how do you get there? There are no nonstop flights from Canada to Malta, so you're going to be transiting via one of the European gateways, and you're going to be arriving into Lucca, which is a little town outside of Valletta where the airport is located. On arrival, you'll be met and whisked into Valletta, the capital city where we're going to be staying for the next 6 nights. Now, as you can imagine, Malta being a small island, everything is pretty easily accessible. In fact, there's hardly any place on the island that you can't reach in under an hour, obviously with the exception of going to one of the neighboring islands. Valletta is one of Europe's smallest and southernmost capitals, which brims with history and charm. It was founded back in the 16th century, and it played a key role in European history, particularly
for withstanding the Ottoman siege that happened at the end of the 16th century. This led to the construction of these incredible fortifications that define the city today, and that will be a large part of what we see as we wander around the city. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. As I mentioned before, it is a trove of Baroque architecture, has narrow streets that go up and down. There's over 25 churches there, and in almost all directions, particularly on the periphery, you get incredible views over the turquoise waters of the Mediterranean. There's bars, restaurants. It really has everything. You'll have the whole afternoon on arrival to explore the city itself. Everything that you'll want to see in Valletta is within walking distance.
We're going to start with a walking tour of Valletta. It'll be important that you get some good walking shoes on because the streets of Valletta are very up and down. We're going to start off at the Auberge de Castille, which is not far from the Baracca Gardens you can see pictured here. This is one of Valletta's most iconic Baroque buildings. It's at the highest point of the city and was originally a residence for the knights and then subsequently transformed into the stunning Baroque structure that you see today, which serves as the office of the Prime Minister. We'll then head over to St. John's Co-Cathedral, which is another example of one of the finest pieces of Baroque architecture, not only in Malta, but in all of Europe. The exterior is a bit modest, but you step inside the door and it's an incredible display of art with ornate carvings and a ceiling painted by the famous Italian artist Mattia Preti. Here, you'll also find Caravaggio's The Beheading of St. John the Baptist, which is one of his most well-known masterpieces. We'll then head over to the Upper Baracca Gardens. Again, you can see this photo here. And this is where we get our first and incredible views overlooking the Grand Harbor. Along the way, we'll taste some of Malta's treats, and you'll have the rest of the afternoon to continue to explore Valletta on your own. There's so many hidden gems that you'll find just strolling around the old city. On our next day, we're going to cross over that Grand Harbor to the so-called Three Cities. The three cities are truly steeped in Maltese history, and we can get quite an insight into what life was like in the past when we visit these little spots on the east side of the Grand Harbor. We're going to start off in Conspicua or Bormia, which the name reflects the prominent location, which was so important in the maritime history of Malta. From there, we head over to the next of the cities, Vittoriosa, which earned its name after the victorious defense against the Ottoman invasion back in 1565. We'll have lunch in Vittoriosa, and the final stop on our day will be in Senglea. And here, Senglea was known as Isla. This is the smallest of the three cities, but it is still bears the legacy of the so-called Knights Hospitaller, and we'll hear more about the Knights in various aspects of our trip around. We'll also have a chance to have a little harbor tour, in one of the small Maltese boats that are often used to ferry tourists around between one side of Valletta, one side of the Grand Harbor, and the other. Today's trip will take us on a ferry ride over to the island of Gozo. This is the more tranquil and serene part of Malta. If Valletta and the surrounding cities, it seems like one big giant city when you arrive there. That seems very busy and raucous, this is where everybody goes to have a little peace and serenity. Uh, Gozo is a stark contrast to the busier mainland, and when we sail across the channel, you'll see the limestone cliffs that mark, which are indicative of the landscape all around the island. Our first stop, though, is going to be at the Gigantia temples, which are one of the world's oldest religious structures. They date back to between 3600 and 2500 BC. So again, you put that in context of the pyramids, and these are actually much older. These are Neolithic temples, and they have massive limestone slabs that weigh up to 50 tons. The construction method, like with the temples in Egypt, like with the pyramids in Egypt, is still much of a mystery, but the scale of it is truly awe-inspiring. We'll then head over to Rabat and we'll visit the Cittadella, which is the island's ancient fortified center. It was once a refuge from the raiders that were constantly coming to the island over the course of time. It has beautiful views over Gozo, and the whole area was actually renamed Victoria during the time of British rule, and it is also rich in history, again with ruins dating back to the Neolithic times. We'll then head over to what's called Glendi Bay, a picturesque inlet which has steep cliffs and it's famous for its crystal clear waters, which are perfect for swimming, snorkeling, and diving. We've got a lovely lunch spot with a great view overlooking the bay, and we'll see the Duera Inland Sea, as well as Fungus Rock, which was once guarded by the Knights of St. John because of its rare medicinal plant. We'll then head back later in the afternoon to Malta by ferry. Lots of time still to explore Valletta on your own. Today's the day we're going to take a deep dive into the really ancient history of Malta. One of the things that we're going to take in today is the Hypogeum, which is the world's only known prehistoric underground temple. In fact, we have to book this months in advance because this is one of those things that is so popular that they have only time ticket entry. This spot dates back to around 4000 BC, and it's a maze of underground chambers that are carved right in the limestone. In fact, the location of it is under a subdivision. It was only later discovered, and they realized that they had built houses right on top of the Hypogeum. One of the most amazing discoveries here, though, is what's called the Sleeping Lady, which is a figure that is still remains a bit of a mystery. And the other interesting thing inside the Hypogeum are the acoustics. Low sounds carry through the chambers in a way that may have been intentional, but again, given the age of it, nobody knows for sure. We then head over to Hagarachim, which was built a little bit later, around 3600 BC. Again, these are megalithic structures that are part of the prehistoric legacy of the island. And again, giant limestone blocks, and they wonder how they move these things around and align them so that they precisely line up with the solstices. On the longest day of the year, they'll show how the first rays of sunlight will spill into one particular chamber, which was a testament to the engineering skill of the ancient inhabitants of the island. We'll take a peek over at the Blue Grotto, famous tourist spot. This is an incredible cave system where the vibrant blue waters are illuminated by sunlight that comes in from outside. If the weather is calm, and you never know around Malta, but hopefully we'll be able to take a boat ride through the caves. Otherwise, there's a great vantage point from the cliffs above. And finally, we're going to head over to the fishing village of Marsa Schlock. And this is one of my favorite spots. It's filled with colorful boats they call ludu, and it has a wonderful, serene atmosphere. We'll have a great spot all right on the harbor for lunch and time to explore a sprawling market that is all along the waterfront. We've built in, as we typically do, an entirely free day for you to go out and explore some of the other highlights that Malta has to offer. If you love the coastal landscapes, you might head over to the neighboring island of Camino. We'll have passed it when we visit Gozo. Here, you could take a walk along the limestone cliffs and, again, even take a jump into the sea. I've done it myself. It is quite a magical experience. But alternatively, there is another spot that I highly recommend, and this is Mdina, the Silent City. It's a medieval walled town that has narrow streets, palaces with noble coats of arms, and an eerie quiet because the interior part of the city is free of any kind of traffic. There's also Fort St. Elmo and the National War Museum that's right in Valletta that you can visit. This has a terrific look into the military past of Malta. You might want to go to the National Aquarium that has an amazing array of marine life from this part of the Mediterranean, or you could walk to the Salina Nature Reserve where you can take in birds. So Malta really has something for everyone. And that will wrap up our visit to Malta. It's short, but it's sweet, and offers really a chance to see all of the main things that this island is so well known for. We've positioned the timing of this so that you can combine it with another one of our trips. As I mentioned, Sicily is close by, so our Sicily sojourn will happen shortly after this trip ends. You could also continue on to Cyprus, another island in the Mediterranean. There really are some great options for you. There's lots more details available about this trip, and the best way to get those is to visit our webpage. You'll find a link to it in the description box underneath this video on YouTube. And on that webpage as well, you'll find a link to download our detailed trip itinerary. This is like our e-brochure, which goes through the day-by-day itinerary and gives you all the other details about what's included, prices, and also on all the rest of it. In addition to that, we have our trip-specific reference guide, and this is kind of the FAQ. This has all of the logistical information that you need to know when planning a trip to Malta. Beyond that, if you have any more questions or consider joining us, then I invite you to give us a call, drop us an email. Paula is the person who will be happy to chat with you about potentially participating on this trip. Contact details are there. I hope that you've enjoyed and found this webinar on our trip in Malta useful. This really is a wonderful island. Not a lot of people know what it offers, but it offers a lot. So I highly recommend coming out and joining us. If you've liked this webinar, you are welcome to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then every time we post a new webinar about a new trip or other topics from time to time, then you'll be notified and you'll be one of the first that gets a chance to take a look at it. In the meantime, happy travels.